Nick, as a offensive expert, um, are the two interceptions that Philip threw Sunday, are they things that this team is just going to have to live with this season, or how do you coach those out of a quarterback who's already played hundreds of games and has seen everything? I mean, are those just mistakes that just you have to live with, or how do you get rid of those?
Yeah, good question, Zach. You know, the second one, it's just on that second interception. I think it's just moving on in your progression, and he saw it. He sees that, and we said, I just want to move on in my progression and go from there. So I think that's one. He naturally corrected himself the moment he threw it. He knew where that. He knew where he really wanted to go with that football. The one before that, I know Frank has talked to you guys about the one before that. That was just, that was one that they played a defense that we hadn't seen, and we just got to do better as coaches, just putting him in a better spot on that second one. That second one wasn't his fault in the slightest. But yeah, I just think, it's just going in there and on Monday, and we talked with Philip, Sunday after the game too, and just, talking through the good play, just being, honest with each other and honest with ourselves of, hey, here are the good plays, here are the bad plays, and let's fix the bad plays and keep doing the good plays. And he had a heck of a lot of good plays in that game.
George Bremer.
Nick, it was sort of a breakout day in a way for Paris Campbell. Is the next step for him maybe seeing some more explosive plays, some bigger plays from him?
Hey, George. Yeah, he did play a heck of a football game. He looked fast. He looked explosive. Everything we've seen at practice that he necessarily hasn't been able to show in games, due to some things, obviously some injuries that happened last year. So it was great to get him out there and see those things and let the country see those things of what he can do, because obviously he's a big time playmaker. So I think just like any of our playmakers, George, we just keep getting him the ball in a variety of different ways. Paris shows that he can get the ball down the field on a 20-yard, 15 to 20-yard intermediate section. We can give him to it underneath, and most certainly we can go up top with it. So it's just, with our good playmakers, that's the plan, and we'll do what the defense allows us to do and take what they give us, and Paris will be a big part of that from next week and here on from there.
Kevin Bowen.
Hey, Nick. Seemed like you guys had really good success with the running back screens on Sunday. Was that a big emphasis for you guys this offseason? Because it seems like that hasn't been as successful for you guys in the first couple seasons.
Yeah, good question, Kevin. Yeah, that definitely was an emphasis for us. We knew that could bring more value to our passing game, and Chris Strasser and Clayton Adams, they did a phenomenal job of studying it. Our staff did a phenomenal job of studying it, and credit to our coaches and obviously our players, but our coaches to get the players in the right position. And then I'm speaking of the position coaches, every one of those guys, and then the players of executing it. So was really pleased with the way that part of our game looked on Sunday.
Phil B.
Hey, Nick, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
JT, his yards per carry, and I know Naheem's, they probably weren't where you wanted them to be. You want to run the ball better. With Marlon not there now, is there stuff you can call that is more suited to Taylor's game, or is it we run our base set of plays and those guys execute?
Yeah, that's a good question, Phil. I feel like what we do, and then just what our philosophy is as coaches is we do what they do well, and that's an entire group. That's not just the running back. Hey, what does the running back do well? This, and that's good. We're going to get him in that position. But does the O-line do that well? And we got a great O-line, so we feel like they can do a lot of different variety of things. So it is, and I think that's in every phase of our game, is getting our players in position to make plays. Okay, well, part of that is, yes, they run this coverage, we run this scheme, but then it's, well, this guy runs this part of this scheme really well. And so that's no different in the running game and in the passing game. We're going to put guys in positions that we think that they're going to be successful at. And so that is adapting the way we need to adapt with Jonathan to put him in the best position.
Thank you.
Joel Erickson.
We kind of always think of those running back screens as kind of taking advantage of the defense's pass rush, but is being better at those screens, does that open stuff for you guys elsewhere?
Yeah, I think anytime you add a part of your game that the defense has to study and focus on, it takes away time that they have to do, if they have to study other things, right? So if I'm spending my time, studying the screen game, then I might not be spending as much time studying the package, the staples that you have in your offense, right? So I think most certainly, Joel, that when you're successful in an area, it definitely puts more stress on the defense. So again, pleased with that, with our part of our game on Sunday.
Jake Arthur.
Hey, Coach. Minnesota's had plenty of change at cornerback over the offseason, but they've got easily one of the best safety tandems in the league with Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris. What challenges do they possess against both the run and the pass?
Yeah, those two guys. It's been a while since I've been on a football team that's played against this defense, and it seems like Smith is the same guy. He is the same guy, if not better than he was. When last time, I think it was 2015. And Harris is, man, those are two really good players. I mean, really good players. That sticks out on tape. And so they definitely pose a challenge. Any good player is going to pose a challenge. Excuse me. And these two guys are no exception to that. They do a good job of disguising their coverages. They do a good job of tackling. They do a good job of covering when they're asked to cover. And they're physical, really good, just solid football players. And then a lot of credit to that staff over there in Minnesota. Coach Zimmer is a phenomenal coach. And that no surprise that his players just continue to get better as they're in the system there.
Thanks.
Mike Chappell.
Yeah, Nick, you guys have always, you and Philip have always maximized running backs in the passing game. But is 17 targets and receptions, is that even beyond what you anticipate, or was that just this game made that accessible to you?
I think a little bit of that. Of course, Mike, what you're saying is true. Philip's always done a good job of utilizing his back. This game plan and this, against the defense that we just played, they kind of give that to you a little bit more, and they want you to, they want you to check the ball down a lot, and so that was definitely an emphasis of ours, of taking what they gave us. And like I said, Jacksonville just gives you a little bit more of that with the way they play their defense. So that is a week in, week out thing, but we just, again, utilize our playmakers. How are we going to utilize our playmakers? And we have no shortage of playmakers there at the running back spots. We're just trying to get the ball in their hands.
Quick follow-up. I asked Frank this yesterday, but you have to be careful not to get so enamored with the dump-offs or even Philip throwing the ball at 22 attempts, again, one game, but not get away from the running game. Yeah,
good question, Mike. We definitely also want to establish our run game as well and get that going as well, because of the strength of our team, right? A strength of our team is our offensive line. They just played a great game. I mean, the pass protection on Sunday was outstanding. One of the best I've ever been a part of in the NFL. They just did an outstanding job. And so we want to lean on the guys that we know can help us win football games, and that's offensive line. And whether that's in the pass game or in the run game, they're going to help us win games.
Jim Aiello.
Hey, Nick, thanks for taking the time. Chappell kind of jumped me on that question a little bit, but I was just going to ask you about your role, I guess, on game day in terms of maybe reminding or talking to Frank about getting back to the run game. He said yesterday in his quote, I thought it was interesting. He said he was reminded that even though if you were throwing well, running well still helps you a lot. I mean, what's the communication like for you? And do you have responsibility to say, or a conversation with Frank to say, hey, maybe we go back to the run game a little bit more or something like that? How does that work on the sideline for you?
Yeah, Jim, that's a good question. We're just constantly communicating on, well, hey, what's working, what's not working, what's the defense doing. There's times that he'll ask me to remind him on something in a certain area. Hey, Nick, he'll open the door up for me plenty of times to say, Nick, what do you like here? And so it is constant communication, like you're saying. And yeah, anything, we talk about everything and anything there as it pertains to helping us win the football game. So certainly that's one thing that we definitely have conversations about as well.
Ken Sterling.
Hey, Coach, as he broke down the film of Jonathan Taylor's touches, what were the good things that you saw and the things that he needs to improve at?
Hey, good question. Well, let's start with the good. Those are always fun to start with. He's fast. He's big. He's explosive. Like, man, he got out in the open field a couple times 2 days ago, and he's pulling away from guys that are known fast guys. Miles Jack is a fast player. He's a fast linebacker, and I saw him a couple times just pull away from him. And then just also just some of the times where he was, really getting in there with the football and lowering his shoulder when a DB was trying to tackle him. And he was obviously very productive with the football in his hands, especially in the pass game. As far as getting better, it's just getting more reps. It's getting more experience to see how the holes close faster in the NFL because the defensive line's better than they were in college. No offense to any of the Big Ten schools, but the Jacksonville Jaguars D-line definitely, and the Minnesota Vikings D-line is definitely better than all theirs, no question. But it's just getting those reps over and over and over again of seeing the different ways that defensive line and defenses play in the NFL.
And two more questions. Stephen Holder.
Hey, Nick. Along the same lines with Jonathan, he'll have a bigger role in some fashion, obviously, with Marlon out. And part of that is always pass protection with young backs. Where is he at that way? And, I know he didn't do a lot of that maybe until late in his career at Wisconsin. What have you guys observed, and how has that gone for him?
I think he's done well, and it is definitely new for him. First of all, it's a different protection scheme than he had at Wisconsin. And, so he's done well picking it up, the knowledge of it. And there were some things, obviously, like any young back, that he went through some ups and downs during camp. The good thing is he's smart, he's willing, and he's physical. And that is so important for that. And so he gets better with every rep. He's got a great football coach with Tom Rathman helping him out. And he's got one of the best quarterbacks in Phillip Rivers helping him out right there in the game, during the game. So he's definitely made huge strides, and he'll continue to make strides. I have no doubt about that.
Last question, Mike Wells.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Phillip's velocity on his throws on Sunday? It seemed like there were a couple throws where T.Y. was maybe he got to a spot early or the ball didn't get there as fast. And if you feel like Phillips lost any of the velocity, does it impact how you guys go about with your offensive game planning?
Sure. Good question, Mike. I don't believe he's lost any velocity. I saw all the same throws that I've seen in the past, outside the numbers, intermediate throws on the crossing, some crossing routes. Like I didn't see anything that said to me that he's lost any velocity. And I've been saying that and say the same thing in practice. Obviously Sunday wasn't the first time I got to watch him throw. So, that's been consistent. I think he's got the same arm in there. Are we going to have some miscues here and there? Absolutely. Throughout a game. Whereas, maybe we're short on a route or we're long on a drop, where there's a little bit of off right there. But, so we love for every play to be perfect. in actual, in reality, that's just not going to be the case. So there were definitely a couple of those, not too many of them, but there was just a couple of those where, route depth and drop depth were off.